Yes, my name is Dr. Thomas Elias Lockhart III. I am a mixed media artist out of Colorado. I've been an artist my whole life. I really got serious about it back in 2000. So about for the last 24 years, I've been on a pursuit of trying to find myself in my art in the many things that I do. I love to uh, work on stories in my pieces that I do, and I love to make an impact and make my pieces inspirational, that people have something to talk about a little bit deeper than just seeing a pretty picture. Well, the underlying theme would probably be inspiration, but in really reality, it's just a mixture of the stories and a mixture of what draws you into the piece or what drew me into the piece to create it. I always wanted people to be able to see, into my mind when I did the piece, and that's why I started to attach stories to the work that I do, so they would see a deeper impact, that something that they could feel and draw an emotional attachment to. I believe I was, when I wasn't doing crazy stuff. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Always, kids, they start out drawing cartoons and things like that. So I used to do many different things. I remember Garfield being one of my favorite ones, and so just playing around with color pencils and things like that, and getting into art. I mainly do a lot in acrylic now, and I remember being introduced to acrylic when I was in high school, and I was like, "What is this stuff? It dries so dang fast." But keep on working with it, and working a lot of different mediums too as well. Yeah, so people ask where I get my inspirations from, and my inspirations come from conversations I have with people. They come from music, they come from things that I thought I saw, and I come up with a concept or image. They come from history. I've been wanting to tell a little bit more about our past, things that we just don't know on a normal basis. It comes from things that are going on in our society today, just drawing a perception and putting those different things together in our life. So, like I said again, I always want my art to be inspirational, and that people can take something with them and learn something new when they see my work. I had a really good friend of mine who had told me a number of years ago. He said, "Man, you have to buckle down and do one style and stick with that style until you get known from that style, and then you can kind of branch out from there." And I love what he was saying, but it just didn't resonate with me. I always thought, being an artist, we're full of creativity, and some artists, they do what they do, and they do an amazing job at it, and they love to do that. But I've always been a very diverse artist, and there's so many different things that I want to get and be a part of. And so, from doing things of realistic art, I have other things that are abstract. I do clay pots and wooden bowls and many other different types of things. So I always love to be able to manipulate and do different things with many different styles and textures. And so I believe I'll always be like that. So the whole creative aspect is, I think, it's important. You have to do what you love, and I believe that the people will see that, and it will resonate through your work, and it will resonate with the people who collect your work too as well. I got an honorary doctorate degree last year. I got a Lifetime Educator of the Year award last year. Received a International 60 Masters Award, and that award was bestowed on 60 artists from around the world. And then, as I was mentioning, tomorrow I have an international documentary. Out of those 60, they picked 10 artists, and they did documentaries on them. So these artists are from different parts of the globe, and I got chosen as one. I'm the only black one too as well. So they're going to be premiering that here in New York in the midst of this show too as well. So I got to run to go to that to be a part of that. So I'm really excited, and I've been in several magazines over the last couple of months, and won a couple of big international awards, like if you've heard of Art Basel. So I've won some awards down there too as well. So just very thankful. I love to be able to create, and hope that I can continue to make an impact with my work. And then, as an artist, that's one of the things you got to do. You got to be able to love what you do, and people say if you can love what you do without worrying about getting paid for it, then you can get paid for the work that you do and that you love. So that's where I want to be with the work that I create. Talk about this one that is right behind me. This is my newest piece. This one is called We Built This, and it's part 3. And what I wanted to do with this particular piece is talk about what our contributions were to the railroad system, which way they made a huge impact in our country and many other countries, because I believe that they took from what we were able to do and accomplish to make railroad systems that went throughout their countries too as well. And so when they first started doing the railroad system, they rented slaves from plantation owners. And also going through Reconstruction, they would, uh, when slaves would get arrested for just silly stuff like not even having a job, because nobody would give you a job, you would go into the prison system, and you may stay in that system for the rest of your life. You may never ever get out. And they would rent out them like slaves to the railroad systems and the stations. And so they had other people that worked on the railroad systems, like the Chinese came in. They also had other white men and other different groups, but they got paid. And there was many, many instances, pretty much almost all the instances where we never made any money for what we did when we built the Capitol, when we built the White House, and many other different foundations across the United States. But in this piece, I also have a number of inventors like Andrew Woods, Granville Woods. He created the electric subway rail system. So being in New York is pretty amazing. The tunnels and everything were created and designed and laid out by a black man. Of course, and Benjamin Banneker doing the Washington layout of that too as well. You got Lattimore Lewis, who started with Alexander Graham Bell. Then he moved to Thomas Edison, and then he moved to railroad systems, and he created the bathrooms and the toilet system that were in the bathrooms. And Elijah McCoy, he did things like the oil lubrication systems that went onto the train system, so the trains didn't have to continue to keep stopping, so it saved them time and money. And then John Henry was really known about how he worked on the railroad systems too as well. So I wanted to collage that and put that into the pieces, to the different things. And then, of course, there were black men that some of the jobs, or on only jobs they were able to get, were like Pullman porters on the trains. You would kind of look at them as being like someone on an airplane would be like a stewardess, where they would take your bags and it would show you to your rooms, and they would probably bring different things to you, and a lot of different things in those particular jobs that they were able to do, but not being able to actually run the train systems. So yeah, so that's the premise of this particular piece. And so collaging in their shirts and their hats. This piece is built on a wooden crate, so it's a 48 by 48. And so I drilled these things in here representing the nails that go into the ground through the metal and the wood as they were laying the tracks down. So that's pretty much the premise behind this piece. In the next 5 years, my goal, I really would like to be a household name. I really would like to be able to travel the world and gather more information and meet other artists and meet other people and be able to tell other stories. Want to get into sculpting too as well, to add that to my repertoire, and many other different aspects. I have these visions of being able to make my art move and do some other interactive things. So I know some of that stuff goes into engineering. So it's like I got to have somebody I can say, hey, this is my idea, and let's kind of play around with that. So yeah, definitely want to be able to do that and be able to show my work on some of the other mini scales too as well. My legacy, I really would love that my children could look back and see the things that their father did a big impact on their life, changed the lives of other people, brought emotion, brought interesting cultivation and history to the life of art. And because that's what art started out as. You know, art was a history basis. Whether it was true or false, they would paint these pictures, and it would tell the time of the art, the time of the history in that particular point. So we could look back and see, like we look at the hieroglyphics, and we know that these people were pretty much, they were not primitive and living in caves. They were building, you know, pyramids, and they had ecosystems and sewage systems and all these other different things that they were doing, like specifically in Africa. Back in the 1500s, they had sewage systems that they had, glass windows in their houses and stuff like that. Looking back at that and seeing a tremendous aspect of the things that we've created. So yeah, definitely want that to be a part of my legacy, and then that my art would live on and be able to be collected by a number of people and continue to grow in value.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.